Hello everybody. So I was originally going to do some speedrun videos and post some like speedruns with Jungler and Bronte and C and compare them in comparison to the previous times, but recently on the leaderboards this has happened before the patch went out. This is how I know it's even less likely to be true. There's been a couple of times by two individuals that are very suspicious. I know they're cheating. I don't know how they managed to slip through the anti-cheat, but it's clearly cheating. For example, Elsa cannot do this damage. Jungler could barely get a 31 second if he was lucky. Thinking Elsa, who is severely weaker and one of the weakest breakers in the game right now, can hit a 32 second is just bizarre. She would probably take around 32 seconds just to get to planet 3. Even in her strongest builds, which I will showcase the different builds at some point on this channel. And then we've got over here a Bronte player who I have said in the past, Bronte is very, very good and very, very quick at getting to the last boss, but the moment you get to the last boss as seasonal, you lose your 150% damage multiplier from shock, because the last boss is immune to shock, which turns the fight into being a 2-minute to 3-minute fight duration for her. It is not possible for Bronte to be doing this. Now, with the added player power that you got in the seasonal now, when the patches come through, she still does not get to this close of clear times. And this is why this is even more suspicious. It's because these are pre-buffs to the seasonal mode. So all this extra player power from the relics and the slight tweaking they did on the Bronte skills where they kind of moved her power around. She's still very strong, by the way, even after the slight nerfs and buffs. It's just not possible. The last boss being immune to shock is severely damaging to her output on that fight. But yeah, also because you're forced to take 4x4 sometimes, generally that'll take you around 30 seconds to clear a 4x4 just because you're time gated, but it's just not possible. So instead of doing some speedruns, instead I'm going to do the old tried and true. I'm just going to run through Exodia on some breakers and kind of showcase the breakers. Instead of going for times, just give some insight, what their relative strengths are like, their weaknesses, and generally how the systems are treating them. Because a lot of breakers in this game have had a lot of changes. Pretty much every single breaker coming into the ANVIL full release in some way has had some fundamental change to their skill upgrades. Most notably for this is Liner in a way. He has been nerfed in the sense that he's no longer getting 100% critical damage on his wire, instead he's getting 50%. But that being said, he has had some very nice quality of life upgrades in forms of a skill build. Now, what do I mean by this? His skill trap for his skill power, let me try that again. His skill power on his electro trap is still around 100%. This is pretty good considering the fact that a lot of breakers had their powers knocked down by a tremendous amount. If you comparison to this to Jungler, when coming into 1.0, he had his 500% mines drop down to 200%. You're really not missing much damage on your from your traps here. And then you've still got your traps moving back forward, you've got your cooldown, and you have your AoE and duration increase. This is all fantastic stuff, still all good stuff for Electro Trap. You come over to a module, still getting your crit damage, you're still getting some weapon power and instant reloads, still getting your cooldown reduction, still getting your no ammo consumption, and we're still getting the missile launcher skill is also now having its cooldown reduced when you use acceleration module. Why is this a good thing? Well, for skill power Liner, a lot of your burst does come from missile launcher. And now if we go over to missile launcher, we have 100% missile damage. We have Big Rocket, and Big Rocket has also had some changes, which I will showcase in this run, because we're going to try a skill power Liner build live, basically. This is going to be testing it. And skill power Liner has this Big Rocket, and instead of it just going in a straight path now, it chases enemies. It's really nice. We've got some cooldown here, and then we've also got this. The ×2 duration to the burn and the attack power value of burn has always been a thing on missile launchers upgrade, but now it also gives 50% critical damage. This only lasts during your missile launchers firing, but that's great because that means you're pumping all this missile launcher damage into the enemy and you're gaining a lot of critical damage for doing so. Weapons wise, weapons feel a little weak right now in comparison to skill builds. That's why we're trying this. But generally, all the weapons can maybe see play in some way. I like to run the sniper rifle. It feels like it hits pretty hard. But we're going to come over to relics now and sort these out so we can do a skill power build. Now, because we're running skills, and we want to be using our skills as often as possible. Due to the hit rate of our skills and stuff and the burst potential with Big Rocket, we're obviously going to be running Special Charge Module. This also means we're going to get multiple wires, which means we have our crit up for longer. Also, because it's a skill build, we're going to come over and I'm going to throw on Exodia Power Chip. Exodia Power Chip is going to give us 30% skill power. It's going to be great. But because we're lacking 50% crit somewhere in our build, we're going to throw on Assassin's Necklace. This is going to give us 30% crit. So now what we need to do is find 10 or 20. And, well, Liner has some really good synergy with dashing to instant reload and stuff on some of his skills. So we're actually just going to throw on Critical Greaves. Now, I could just throw on Critical Box and find the 20% in the run, but they did nerf Critical Box down from 50% to 25%. This is still 5% more than most critical relics, but it does make it less attractive to start with, as it's just not so as much raw power in comparison to, like, say, double dipping on skill power with something like Convergent Anti-Skill Module, or more cooldown reduction, or, say, a 20% crit relic from a shield or something. But that's my thought process here, my theory crafting. Since we're going to be playing semi-close range, we are going to swap from a sniper rifle. We're going to be fighting mostly mechanical planets and armored planets when it comes to Exodia. There is a chance that we find other things, but those are generally what I'm thinking. So void damage, plasma damage, or ion damage is going to be preferable, and I think I'm going to run... Let's run a double shotgun. Might as well weave in some damage what we can. Yes, my skin is like this on purpose. I think it looks awful, which is the point. Anyway, enough being said, we should go over to our toy worker though and fix it. So I have two toy workers here. I have my power dog. This is gross. This is really, really strong. It's giving me 55% crit, 55% skill power, sorry, and 4.9% attack power, which is basically 5%. But this is unrealistic. People will not be able to get rolls like this anymore on their toy workers because you can't have mixed match polarities anymore. So, for example, the top polarity there where it shows a weapon and I have a skill, this is only a thing that could be done in the past system, not the new system. So instead, I'm going to run a toy worker that is possible to get the rolls on, and that's this Mark 1 Lobo. This is actually a very strong toy worker. I think people sleep on it. You don't need to worry about getting SS rank on your toy workers. Yes, the little explosion damage increase is nice, but remember, you're going to get more damage if you have the correct rolls in comparison to the multipliers down there. So instead, what I'm going to roll and preferably have is this 20% damage multiplier that you see on its unique combat skill up the top. And then I've got 54% skill power coming from the 2 skill power rolls that this dog has available to it. So we're going to go in. That is going to be a lot of howling from this dog, but anytime that overlaps with our damage is perfect. It's basically a free weak spot detector scope. So we're going to come in, immediately check our skill box. I'm not quite sure what skill order yet. Preferably big missile instantly, but we'll see. Nothing fantastic. This is kind of nice, actually. More cooldown reduction, basically, for our trap, as well as having a little bit more burst coming from it. It's going to be nice on these mechanical bosses. Ooh, a Giant's Neck instantly. That's nice. Giant's Neck doesn't hurt you anymore, by the way. Giant's Neck doesn't do damage to you, so it's a safe option just to pick up. We're going to come in, immediately dash towards the boss to get our critical crease buffs. This is going to last 8 seconds as we have buff adapt. And then we're going to drop down crit wire for the extra 50%, as well as the burst damage for our missile launcher. So that's our thought process here. So let's go in, trap, and then missile launcher. As you can see, the damage isn't bad. Like, the damage is pretty good. 70k for just a couple of basic traps. Now remember, we don't have the did I just take my money or did I just mess up? No, we're fine. Now remember, we don't have the actual skill power for the skills yet, so we don't have the base damage being increased, so that does limit it a little bit. But hopefully we can find the big damage upgrades in this run, and I can truly showcase the potential of it. So, well, we have 2 of them here. Now, I think in the long term, missile launcher is going to be doing more for us. But in the short term, on something like Medusa, the traps are going to do the most. I think I'm going to do the smart play and think long term and pick up the missile launcher damage. So we're going to immediately come in. Again, dash for the crit, wait for the boss to stop moving. Fire out our damage, overlap some traps, fire out some more damage. Dash again, just to maintain our crit. And just weave in some double shotgun shots in between. This is also a change that they have done. Weapons are dropping now. Weapons are actually dropping from every enemy, and not just mechanical enemies that come from alerts. They've heard the cries to players, they've heard the uproar of people not finding stuff as often, and are addressing it. There's just a few things I wish are still going to be addressed, but I'm not going to have a salty rant in this video. I already had a minor one at the start. Let's see. Can we get some big damage? Unfortunately not, so we will just take the missile launcher upgrades. So preferably, now I should have explained this as well. In the box, the left option will only ever show you upgrades that you have skill upgrades in already. So for example, it's only going to show us an electro trap upgrade or a missile launcher upgrade. If I pick the acceleration module upgrade, it just pollutes that slot to show extra, like to be able to show either of those three options instead. So I'm just going to be skipping it in favor of finding the big ones. Okay, so we definitely want critical power magazine after this. So we're going to come in, dash, trap, missile launcher backwards, dash towards the boss, trap, missile launcher again. Dash off. Dash off. You can see the double shotgun's not doing the greatest damage, but that's because we're in a skill build. It did basically just remove a health bar by itself whilst we're waiting for cooldowns, but yeah, we're mainly using it as a way to weave damage in. So we just pump out some big damage, the shield's back, so we'll pump down enough of traps. Something I forgot to mention, traps are applying shock now. If you look at the top, you can see that the boss is getting shocked from the traps. Well, it's not now because it's immune, but we've used up all our status diminishing returns, so right now it's immune to shock. But yes, the traps are now shocking enemies, which is a fantastic addition. It opens up an extra multiplier for you to be able to pick up in the form of stuff like shock target. I don't plan on actually getting hit, so I'm not going to bother. So we're going to come in here, pick up the critical power magazine. Explosive target would also be quite nice, but I think the 20% from the critical power magazine is more in more damage for us right now. Let's hope for big missile. Big missile is going to be a big find. Reactive is nice, and so is critical power chip. We'll pick up the reactive after. There it is, big missile. Now I get to showcase the damage of big missile, because oh boy, it's going to be pretty good. So dash, trap, big missile. Here it goes. Boom. Yeah, Liner is pretty good when he gets going. Unironically, I'm killing stuff faster in this run with Liner than I have as... oh, I just meant to pick up the reactive. I'm killing stuff faster in this run with Liner as a skill build than I was when I was testing some stuff with Lightning in pre-test. Now, of course, in pre-test I didn't have many relics to choose from, like I have no special charge module, but I just think it's funny. Alright, extra crit damage on the Hellfire. This is fantastic. Now we're going to see the big burst from Big Missile. Are we ready for this? So again, we're going to dash, immediately drop it, and then Big Missile is going to come in, chunk, Big Missile again, to make sure we dodge and don't get fully frozen. Oh, we almost skipped the phase entirely with just some skill shenanigans from Liner. Let's fire out Big Missile, boom. 167k crit. It's pretty darn nice. Now, there is a world where we could potentially just completely ignore the crit wire in the starting lineup, put Big Missile on, and just fill in extra crit with abundance instead. But I think that is pulling too much into crit. When you have 50% available to you instantly, I feel like you're doing a disservice. There's a reason we do it on Toast, right? Let's see. Roll once. Boss target. Now this boss is kind of annoying to try and burst down because he hops everywhere at the start, but we'll see what happens. Nothing fantastic here. I guess we'll just take the crit damage on the module now that we've got the important stuff out of the way. We're just going to come in first though, let him do his jumping. Dodge off that, dodge all the damage, get all our buffs up, and just burst with the missiles. Oh, he jumped out of it. What a menace to society. Now, you guys tell me, if you watch this and there's always been, say, skill builds on this channel, let me know if you want me to do some more weapon stuff in the future, or if you just want me to keep trying to bring you guys what's the strongest stuff right now for each breaker. I don't mind just running through and testing stuff in the sake of footage, but usually I'll do a bunch of testing off camera. Like when I get time available to play, I'll like test some stuff and then bring you the strongest stuff I found from that testing. But if not, then I can just run through with random weapon-based stuff and just show you that as well. Let's see. Is he gonna do the hop or the jab? He's gonna go for the. He's going for the jab. Okay, so dash. Now he's gonna hop. That's why we save the second wire. See if we can push him without using it, so that way we can save it for the damage vulnerability and just immediately chunk the phase. Oh, this is perfect. Wire into this. Dash for the crit. Big rocket's gonna immediately chunk. He's going to go into the lifesteal phase, so now we're going to try and bait him so he goes towards the wall at the bottom. So we do this. He's going to now dodge into the wall. Okay, he rotated a little bit further than I intended, but it still works. Big chunks. Alright, he's going to jump around the room, count 6 times, and then dodge on the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, well, I messed up which direction I dodged. I was meant to go towards where he would land, not away from. But we'll just chunk him and kill him. There we go. Well, again, like I said, Liner is not in a spot where he is beating, say, a... Wow, that's a lot of movement speed. He's not in a spot where he's going to be beating, say, Jungler's times. He's not in a spot where he's going to beat Bronte's times. He's kind of like middle of the pack, where he's just average right now. He is okay. I think he is in the spot where most breakers should be balanced around. He can do big damage when you get the stuff. He can do decent damage when you don't get the stuff. But he's not so overtuned to the point where every fight's a 2-second fight. Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. And I will catch you in the next one.